Welcome to Executive Leaders Radio. In this hour, you'll hear directly from our region's finest business leaders. Through each of the interviews, these high-achieving leaders become relatable role models who share how they were able to build their enterprise, their personal secrets of success, about leadership styles and opportunities that lie ahead. Prepare to be inspired and entertained and to hear wisdom unheard elsewhere. Executive Leaders Radio.
You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio, broadcast from the Fairfax County Chamber of Commerce. This is your host, Peter Schwartz. I'm joined by my co-host, Ed Alera, with the law firm of Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney. We have a great lineup of guests on the show today, including Rick Collins, the President and CEO of Technomics, Inc., Chris Silliba, the President and CEO of Jordan Kitts Music, John Backus, the Managing Partner with New Atlantic Ventures, and Jeff Gallimore, who is the co-founder and partner of Excella Consulting. First up is Rick Collins, the President and CEO of Technomics, Inc. What is Technomics, Rick?
First, great to be here.
Glad to have you.
Technomics is a small employee-owned consulting firm that specializes in decision support analysis with a specific niche in the area of cost estimating and cost analysis.
What does decision support mean, really?
It means to facilitate smart decision-making by leaders, primarily for us, leaders in the government.
And how do you go about that?
Okay. We are the foundation of credible budget estimates. So my staff is folks with various quantitative background, problem solvers. We do cost estimating and cost analysis. So a client comes to us and says, we've got a major project that we want to embark on. We'd like to understand what it costs so that we, for example, Department of the Navy, can go forward to Congress and say we need X amount of money for this new submarine project.
Wow. When was the company founded?
The company was founded in 1984.
And how big or small are you today?
We're 75 people today. The company existed between 84 and 2000 just on the West Coast and was never bigger than 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And you're the president and CEO. Were you part of the founding company?
I was not. I joined the company in June of 2000.
Why did you want the job?
I'd always wanted to start my own business, but had never really been able to get myself over the hump. It seemed daunting, and I'd wanted to start my own business because I had experience working in a large company. And then I'd had experience working as a Department of Navy employee, and I learned a lot through those experiences and said, I want to give it a go.
But what got you over the hump? Just the existence of the company?
That was a key aspect of it, was the fact that here was a company that had a name, was known, although it was only 5 people for years. And I felt confident at that point, after 20 years in this field of cost estimating and cost analysis, that I could attract enough really sharp people to get this thing going.
Yeah. What do you suppose the original owners saw in you that excited them to have you run the thing?
Well, in all honesty, when I was first approached by the president, he didn't think I was going to be interested and wasn't even asking me if I wanted to do the job. But to answer the question, he saw that I was connected and had made a name in the field, and thought that this was going to be the best opportunity for him to be able to establish a base in Washington, D.C., near the company's clients, because all the company's clients were here, though the work was being done 3,000 miles away.
Right. So you were with the federal government when you took this position?
Correct.
And what were you doing before you were with the federal government?
My first job out of school was working for a company called SAIC, mm-hmm. which really was a model for employee ownership in the consulting arena.
Right. So what do you think, which one of your gigs prepared you best to work this situation? Your time with SAIC or your time with the government?
You know, I'd say they both really help shape.
In what way?
Well, first off, at SAIC, I learned about the power of employee ownership. You know, what having a stake in a business can mean relative to the motivation of employees, relative to the interest of employees, and the retention, which is key key to building an organization. And I mention that because then when I went to the Department of Navy, I saw the difficulty in building and retaining a staff, because just the way the federal government system is set up, if you want to progress, you need to be looking a lot of times outside of the organization for an opening to fill. And it was extremely frustrating for me as a manager to not be able to reward and retain staff that was doing great work for me.
So it sounds like to me that, well, you tell me, what was more interesting, delivering the work to the federal government or growing the organization?
Again, it's a tough one. I wanted to create the ideal workplace, but at the same time, I wanted to be a steward of the taxpayer dollar, and that's something I stress with my staff. And we treat the money like it's ours. We treat the company's money like it's ours. We treat our clients' monies like it's ours. And that's because my approach here is I want a company of owners, not a company of employees.
Has it been difficult to attract employees to that environment?
In general, no. We have turned away a lot of work over the years. The reason being because we want to ensure that we are getting the right people for this type of culture, and it takes time to find the right people.
How do you go about that?
Well, a couple things. First one is based on referral. So I started this office with two people that I'd worked closely with. I brought in other people I knew. Those two people knew other people, and so pretty soon we had an organization of very experienced people who knew each other, respected each other, and really enjoyed being around each other.
Let me see if I got this right. You turned down business because you didn't have the right people?
Yes.
How have you been able to avoid the seduction of growth? It's such a seductive thing.
Back to the fact that each of us wants to turn to the right and turn to the left and ensure that we are working with the highest quality people, and I think that's in contrast, right, to a lot of our competition out there, who's, our growth model is grow only as fast as your ability to hire good people, which is the flip side of grow as fast as your ability to win business, because it leads to a lot of suboptimal decision making, I think, in that latter case.
Where do you suppose this valuing of people and the importance of relationships came from for you?
Well, I think that my mother was an extremely strong role model for me, and still is today. She lives 20 minutes away from me, and she's 81 years old, lives by herself. She has been such a nurturing, caring mother, and I can always count on her when I'm down or I thought I made a mistake. She's gonna build me up, and it's tremendous. So I think that's really been key to my approach to wanting to have an organization where people feel like the company cares about them. And interestingly enough, we just won for the third year in a row what's called the CARE Award, which is Company as Responsive Employers. It's Northern Virginia Family Services, and it's a recognition of we are actually creating the ideal workplace for our staff.
How do you suppose your father influenced you?
My father was a two-star Air Force general, fighter pilot, hard charger. He worked hard, he played hard, and he was extremely demanding. And so I learned the value of hard work. I learned the value of accountability, because there was no way I was getting away with anything in my household with him. So it was a nice sort of the yin and the yang with my mom and my dad. He'd beat me up, and my mom would build me back up one piece at a time.
Well, you've had a decade in the private sector, a decade in the government, another decade in the private sector. Where's your next decade? Where's that going to lead you?
Oh, my next decade is committed to Technomics. I want this company to be a healthy, employee-owned company where folks who have a lot of experience come, and folks like 40% of our staff come straight out of college, and they decide there's no place better that I could go. And,
how do you know when you have someone you want to hire right in front of you? How do you know that?
You know, that's it's a good question. There are three things that I tell the young people, and I still go to campus and do the job fairs and interview people there. Say, willingness and ability to ask questions, i.e., be willing to admit what you don't know. Mm-hmm. All right, willingness and ability to think. I don't want people that just want to do. I want you to think about the problem so that you understand. And the third one is willingness and ability to do whatever we ask you. Trust us that regardless of whether the work seems below the level of your education, you're going to learn, and it's going to benefit you in the end, and you'll thank us then.
Yeah. How about your proudest moment up till now, Rick?
I think it's the being at the point that Technomics is today. We're 12 and a half years old since I joined the company, and it was essentially a startup. That is, the company existed, but the president said, "Hey, you do whatever you want, including you can become CEO a few years down the road, because I don't want to do this forever." And the other principal said, "I never want to do it. I want to do technical work." So I think the creating environment where people want to come work, they want to come share knowledge.
Right. What's the website address?
It's www.technomics.net.
Thank you. We've been speaking with Rick Collins, who's the President and CEO of Technomics, Inc. I'd like to thank my co-host, Ed Alera, with the law firm of Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney. Don't forget to visit our website, executiveleadersradio.com, to learn more about our executive leaders. This is Peter Schwartz. We'll be back in a moment, right after this Business Spotlight.